Okay, so I hope all the students have joined in. We are just proceeding in 1 minute. Okay, a very good afternoon to everyone. It's such a pleasure to see all of you here today. I am Shilpi Yadav, Assistant Professor, James Kalkaji. Welcome you all to the Analytics workshop hosted by Jagannath International Management School, James Kalkaji, New Delhi. Today, it's an important day for all of us here, wherein we have the honor of hosting Mr. Sandeep Jain, who is here to deliver a workshop on how to become a successful programmer or a coder. Sandeep Jain, sir, is the founder and CEO of Geeks for the Geeks, a widely known popular computer science portal created by geeks for geeks. A postgraduate from IIT Roorkee, he has worked at DE Shaw and Co. and at JIIT Noida as an assistant professor. His passion for imparting quality and affordable programming knowledge and a vision to build a gigantic network of geeks has helped Geeks for the Geeks market's incredible presence in the e-learning world, helping innumerable students and coding enthusiasts build a successful career in the tech world. Thank you, sir, for being here with us, with all of us today. There will be a question and answer round towards the end of the session of Sandeep sir's talk. All of you are requested to kindly post the questions in the chat box, which will then be addressed to sir. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Sylvie ma'am, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you all are safe and doing great. So, am I audible to everyone? Shilpi ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I hope all. Yes, sir.
All right. Great to see you guys. And first of all, I would like to ask you a question. How many of you already have used Geeks for Geeks? I mean, ever before for any coding question or any coding problem? You can answer in the chat box by saying yes or no.
So before students saying, I would definitely say that I've always. I mean, the very first thing I look for my coding errors and all. Geeks for the Geeks come first. So for all the
All right.
platforms and all, it's. I'm sure the students must have also.
All right,
Please, you
ma'am.
can use the chat box. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. So you can reply in the chat box, yes or no. So first, I'll talk about the company, what we do as a company. Then I'll move to the topic. So Geeks for Geeks is mainly an online portal where we provide programming-related content. And the content that you see on Geeks for Geeks, it's consumed by people across the world. It's not only India. From India, we get only 43% traffic, and the content is consumed by majorly countries like US, Canada, and all the popular big countries. And the content that is there on Geeks for Geeks, it's mostly written by students, engineering students of our country. So this is how this thing works. We have an internship program where students write the content, we publish it, and this published content is consumed by everyone across the world. And how do we make money out of it? We put ads, and since the ads are shown in the countries like US, UK, and Canada, so we get good revenue. So this is one business that we do. The other business that we do is courses, which we recently started. So this is what we do as a company. It's all the content is written by Indian students only. We as a company only review it and publish it. We don't publish anything without any manual review. So there are multiple rounds of review that happen before anything is published on Geeks for Geeks. And the students who write that content, what they get in return, they get internship certificate from us. Then we pay them for every article which is published on Geeks for Geeks. So this is what we do as a business. Now coming to our topic, how to be a successful programmer. So guys, if I'm not wrong, that you are all PGDM students, right? Right, Shilpi ma'am?
Yes, sir.
And Shilpi ma'am, how many of these guys have already a programming background or they're never done programming? Like what kind of profiles we have among the audience?
So we have basically juniors and senior students of PGDM and PGDM IB, which is international business. So
Okay.
in the very first trimester, we have a non-credit course as Python. So I take Python. So they are not basically from programming background, but we are giving them some glimpse of programming when they start their PGDM. So they know Python since they have started with the very basic libraries and all, and they are in the process of learning now techniques, which is correlation and all the machine learning techniques. They are in the process. So not you would not say that purely computer science background.
All right now. So, guys, talking about programming, it is something which I have been doing for many years. I started my career as a BTech student, computer science BTech student, and after engineering I went for masters, and after masters I went to D. and Company where I was a software developer, and after D. and Company I taught programming in an engineering college. And after teaching in an engineering college for 5.5 years, I started doing Geeks for Geeks full time. And in Geeks for Geeks also till time I have been teaching programming. I've recently stopped teaching because I'm now more involved into the management. So programming is something which does not require a degree or something. I mean, if you look at the way these tech companies have been hiring, especially the companies which hire pure coders, there were days when these companies used to say that okay, we'll hire only computer science students. And among the engineering, this scenario has changed completely over the past years. Now they hire from every branch. They not when they come to engineering placements, they not only hire from computer science, they hire from electronics, they hire from mechanical, they hire from every other branch. So what it shows is to be a great programmer, to be a successful programmer, you don't have to know everything in computer science. You just have to have strong logic. And how do you bring the logics and how do you begin programming? For that you just need to learn one programming language. You can begin with any programming language. You guys are already learning Python, and I began my journey with C programming language. In our days in engineering college, most of the time, most of us will be taught C programming language the first thing. And these days Python is much easier to learn. If you compare Python with any other programming language like Java, C, and C++, it has much simpler syntax. You have to type much less, and you guys are already learning Python. So to learn programming language, the first thing we need to know is a programming language. If we wish to communicate to any human, we need to know one language like Hindi or English or whatever way we can communicate to that person. Fortunately, in case of computers, we have multiple choices, and out of these choices, we can pick any of the programming languages. You can learn one programming language, be good at it, and once you have learned programming language, then you can start solving the problems. Now the question arises, which problems I should pick and how do I become a good programmer? So for that, you have multiple coding platforms which provide simple mathematical problems. On Geeks for Geeks also we have practice.geeksforgeeks.org, where we have problems ranging from school domain to higher difficulty. So you can pick those problems starting from school, and there are very simple problems like how to check whether a number is prime, or even simpler problem like how to check whether a number is even or odd, right? And with simple language, with simple knowledge of programming language, you can try solving these simple programming languages, simple coding questions. And once you are able to solve these simple questions, then you can try increasing the level. So the basic idea to be a successful programmer is to first learn a programming language, and programming language is just the simple part of it. It should not be like we spend many months or many years to just learn one programming language. We should just be good enough to communicate our ideas to computer. And once we have learned a programming language, then we should start solving the problems. And solving the problems is something that builds your logic. And what kind of problems you should solve? Again, there are programming websites like practice.geekspace.org is there. So you can open, if you are online, you can open practice and you can go to the problem section, right? I share the link. So you can go to the practice section, and there you can see the problems which are categorized according to difficulty, right? You have school level problems, you have basic problems. Once you pick the school problems, you can try solving these problems one by one. And not only Geekspace practice, most of the other platforms, they also have problems categorized according to category. And once you start solving these problems, once you start seeing the green tape, so how these practice platforms work, let me just give you an idea about this. So you have a problem here. If you open the problem, there'll be a problem statement, right? And the problem statement will clearly tell you like what is input, what is output, and like how are the test cases are provided. So what is a test case? When you solve a problem, it is when you write the code, your code is tested against multiple inputs, and for every input, whatever output your program generates, this output is matched with the standard output. And if output is matching, then it says that okay, you have passed the test case, right? Please feel free to ping me if you have any doubt. Whatever if I'm saying, if it is making sense or not, you can ask me any doubt, because it might sound a bit technical to the people, to you guys. So if you want me to cover anything in more detail, you can ask me that also. So to solve a programming problem, you will be writing code, and your code will be tested against multiple inputs and outputs, and your output will be matched with the standard output, and the output matches, you see a green tick. That's how most of the programming platforms work. They have certain standard problems. You write code for them. Your code is matched. Your code is first of all compiled and run. If there are errors, which are those errors are shown to you on the platform itself, that this line is error, this line is error. You can fix those errors by googling those errors, and you can figure out what is the problem. And this is how you learn. Nobody talking about the programming, it takes years and years to learn the programming, right? Or not only programming, it's any field, right? It's just not like that I just studied for 10-15 days or aage programming, right? It's not like that. You need to solve a lot of problems to be a good programmer, right? So once you write the code, your code is run. First of all, it is compiled, and if there are errors, those errors are reported. Once you have fixed all the errors, then your output is matched with the standard output. And if your output is matching, then your code is successfully submitted. You get a score on these platforms. And once you have solved good number of school level of problems, then you can try the basic problems, then you can try the medium problems. And if you already know programming, और आपको लगता है कि यार स्कूल लेवल प्रॉब्लम तो बहुत आसान है मेरे लिए, then you can try with the medium level, and you can in fact try the hard level. It again all depends upon you at what level you are. So the basic idea is this: you should be able to solve the problems using a programming language and the logics that you learned while learning the problem solving. Now, the question arises: why should we learn programming? See, if you look at the current scenario, although you are PGDM students, if you look at the current scenario, the current market, even as a company, we are facing a lot of difficulty in hiring software developer engineers. It's one of those jobs which are highest in demand, and it has been always high in demand. And after the COVID, it has become even more in demand. These days, these software developer engineers, they are getting jobs like anything. Many people in our company, they left, and some of them even joined Google, Flipkart, and many of the top companies. And that's the scenario. It's very difficult to hire even good software developer engineers. And most of the companies, as I said earlier, have dropped the requirement that you should have a computer science degree, right? Most of the companies, they look for other branch engineers. Not only this, Google, you all know Google, right? So how Google hires the freshers? They earlier used to hire by coming to campuses. When I was in IIT Roorkee, Google used to come to our campus. They used to hire from our campus. After some time, they stopped coming to campuses. They run a contest called Google Kickstart. And in the Google Kickstart contest, you should be a student, right, to participate. You should not even have a degree. Forget about the computer science degree or a mechanical degree or engineering degree. If you have good problem solving skills, you can participate and get a software job at Google. So it's all about knowing a programming language and building the logic to able to solve programming problems. The problems which are there on the practice platforms, you can begin with those. And if you want to go a step further, if you want to be a further better programmer, and if you decided to learn coding really really well, then there are certain things called data structures and algorithms. You can learn those data structures and algorithms also really well. And if you feel like that you can become a software developer in a company, although you're PGDM students, since my talk is about programming, I'll just talk about data structures and algorithms as well. See, guys, most of the product-based companies, whether it is Amazon or Flipkart or Google or any other company, they all have this coding contest round through which they hire people. In those coding contest rounds, they ask coding questions, the programming questions. And in those programming questions, most of these companies ask data structure and algorithm questions only. So data structures and algorithms are the building blocks of programming. Our data structure is how you store the data in your program, right? There are multiple ways of storing the data. Algorithm is, just a simpler way of writing the program, a more of English way, right? So you learn different algorithms by learning some pseudo code, by learning some standard algorithms. I guess you might have heard the algorithms like searching, sorting, right? Algorithms for searching, algorithms for sorting. There are many other similar algorithms which you learn. And once you learn these data structures and algorithms, you can in fact crack these software jobs. So if I wish to summarize what I've said so far, to be a successful programmer, to be a coder in a company, all you need to do is you need to learn a programming language really well. Once you have learned a programming language, then you need to learn problem solving. How do you begin problem solving? You can go to any open coding platform. You can try solving the basic questions. They have difficulty wise sorted questions. I've shared the link in the chat box. You can start solving the problems. On the left side you can see difficulty. There you can select school, right? And you can try solving the school level problems if you are an absolute beginner. If you have done programming before, you can change the difficulty level accordingly. Once you solve certain number of problems, once you are confident, okay, I know a programming language. And see, on these coding contest platforms, you have multiple options. You can program either in C++, in Java, or Python. They have all these standard languages, right? In fact, JavaScript is also there. So you learn one programming language, go to these platforms, pick the problems, solve the problems in the programming language that you've learned, and try solving more and more problems. Then learn the data structures and algorithms. If you are super, if this develops your interest in coding more, then learn more about programming. Learn topics like data structures and algorithms. Solve more and more problems. In fact, you once you learn those things, you can crack the SDs. And there have been many scenarios where people from other branches, people from art background, people from management background, they have reached at the top levels in programming. For example, there is a company called Gojek, right, which is an Indonesian company, and it is said that Indonesian, it's such a huge company that Indonesian economy is completely dependent upon that, right? They were recently merged with Tokopedia. So the CTO of this company is not an engineer, right? He's not from engineering background, right? So with this example, and to give you more examples, there are contests that happen across the world. And in these contests, many times, in fact in India also, many times the people who are not having any engineering background, they reach the top of the leaderboards. There is this guy from DPS Dwarika. He was in 11th standard. He beated all the engineers. He reached at the top in the code forces contest, right? And the world's top coder, the name of that person is Gennady. He's from Russia. He did not have any programming background. He's not an engineer. He was also in his schools when he reached the top, right? So there are many examples which you can see where people can become excellent programmer without any engineering degree, without any programming, without any computer science background, right? It's all about once you start enjoying it, you start doing it more and more. And how come you start enjoying it? If you ask me, guys, what happens is if you interact with a human, you many times see non-logical answers, right? You don't see if you've said something, emotions come into the picture and the person responds in a different way. When you are programming on a computer, it's always logical. You will not get any random error. You must have done something wrong in your program or something right in your program, that only your program will be accepted or rejected, right? So it's very, very great feeling to interact with the computer, which is completely logical. There are no emotions involved. Whatever you are writing, it's all logic, and if your logic is right, it's being accepted by the computer. If it's wrong, then it's not accepted, right? And it feels great, great many times. In fact, there are two types of programmers which I generally see. One type of programmers are gamer type of programmers, like Gennady, an example I gave you. So these programmers, they just want to win the contest. They just participate in the contest. They learn problem solving so well, and they solve the problem super, super fast, right? And they become the leaders or the leaderboards. The other kind of programmers are some people who enjoy programming as an art, right? So these gamer kind of programmers who lead the contest, these programmers typically don't write very well written code. They just solve the problem, they write the code, and this code passes all the test cases and it is accepted, right? They just know कि कहाँ से कौन सा कोड कॉपी करना है, कहाँ पे चेंजेस करने हैं, and they just submit and it's get accepted. Now there are certain programmers who are like who enjoy programming as an art. If you ask me, I am a programmer who enjoy programming as an art. I just love writing a very concise program, removing extra variables, reducing its length, and making it beautiful, right? And so the programmers which love programming as an art, they also have huge respect in the open source community. Because when you talk about open source community, there, like if you use GitHub, there, if you write some code, that code has to be very well written. It should not be some haphazard code which has multiple lines and some lines don't make sense at all because they're just copied from here and there. The code should be well written. The variable name should be proper. There should be comments in the code so that if somebody else is reading your code, the person can understand. And your code, and once you start enjoying the beauty of coding, once you start enjoying it as an art, you love enjoying, removing extra every extra line, removing extra every extra variable, and just gives you fun. So the programming can be enjoyed two ways. One is as a gamer, right, where you just learn the concepts, you just learn data structures and algorithms, you just learn problem solving skills. Then you go in every contest, right, and beat everybody else in the contest. Maybe not everybody else around the world initially, but maybe beat everybody else first in your classroom, then first in your college, then in your state, and that's how you grow, right? The other thing is you just enjoy it as an art, where you just participate in the open source developments. Suppose there is an open source project about Mozilla browser, Firefox browser. You look at the code, you understand it, you add some features, you add to the community, right? That's another way of doing the programming, where you look at the code written by the top software developers. How will they write the code? How will they comment the code? And then you write the beautiful code which very well accepted by that community, right? So there are two ways of going about it, and these are two major ways. But again, I would say programming is going to be super useful whatever you do in your life. Steve Jobs, you all know, right? He once said everybody, in the country should learn programming. It makes your thinking right, right? So it's all about learning the logical ability also. As I said earlier, when you interact with the computer, when you write the program, you learn the logic, right? You don't, there are no emotions involved. It's your everything that you communicate with the computer. It's completely logically tested, right? There are no emotions. So it makes you more logical also if you do programming. Also, if you are in management, most of the companies, they are the tech companies these days. With COVID, lots of automations happening anyways. That's why the SD jobs at the top right now. It's very difficult for us also to hire SDs these days. They if you hire one, they get other offers, right? That's how the current situation is about SDs. So even if you don't become an SD, you are a management guy and you are suppose a manager in a company, your company is going to be most likely a tech company. That's how most of the companies are these days. And if not now, they are going to become the tech company, right? And if you are in a tech company and if you are dealing with the programmers, you must know programming really well. You know, there are multiple jobs like project manager, product manager. These guys mostly interact with the coders. Product manager in particular, they are the people who mostly interact. Their job is to understand the language of coders and then understand the language of management and then bridge the gap, right? So all these job profiles, these are management profiles, and again they require good knowledge of programming. So I'll conclude here. I'll just say whatever you do, it's all going to be tech companies in the future, right? Even if you are not going to be a software developer, you are going to be part of a company which is working on the programming or tech side. And if you know tech really well, then you can grow in your company. You can understand the tech side of your company really well.
Okay, I hope the students, what sir has suggested to all of you is clear. If in case you have any questions, you may ask, please.
Sir, I have one
Okay.
question.
Yes,
Hello.
please go ahead. Yes, please go
Sir,
ahead.
sir, up to what level a MBA student learn about software skills like Python and all?
See, there is no limit to it, but I think you should know to the up to the basic level. You must know the up to the basic level, right? And I think Shilpi ma'am can better guide you about MBA student thing, because I am more of an engineering guy. Although I run a company where there are MBAs, there are people, but in a in my, I may not be the perfect guy to give you an overall overview of it, but as a programming lover, I would say there's no limit to it. If you start enjoying it, you can go to any level.
I think, sir, nowadays Python is the most demanded language, and it's easily worked on like in notebooks where we teach students, and that can be easily applied to any analytics organization, or maybe in any organization where you have to just showcase the reports and things like that. So I think that would be good enough for them to go ahead in the very starting, because somebody who doesn't have a knowledge on C++, Java, so for them, Python is also one of the toughest languages to go ahead. So should they start with Python itself, or should they go ahead with the basics like C++, Java, HTML, and all?
Ma'am, if they're already learning Python, I would say Python is easy compared to any other programming language. It's very easy to learn, and there's no point learning multiple languages if it's already part of the curriculum and you are teaching them Python. I would suggest they can go ahead with Python, and it's part of every other contest also. Like whichever field you go in, Python is there. Python is growing like anything in the past decade.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions
Good
for
evening,
Sir?
sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I would like to ask, how can we connect coding with stock market to help us in better analysis of it?
See, you can apply coding to any field. You just need to know the logic and you need to know the domain, right? And see, in stock market, you can use it with machine learning, and there are multiple people who have tried to crack it. There was this company, Show and Company, where I was working as a software developer. And what these guys did, they had built some algorithms which were automatically buying and selling the stocks. and using these algorithms, this company was making huge money, right? It was a hedge fund, and this hedge fund was taking money from different investors, and they were just having some automated algorithms, and these algorithms were playing, investing in the stock market and generating revenue for the company. So there is huge scope in the finance for algorithms and programming, a huge scope.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for answering this. Any other question from anyone? Okay. Anybody having any doubts, you keep asking me in the classes. So if you have, you can just ask, sir. Then we can just close the session.
Ma'am, I want to ask something. Uh,
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. So I want to know about the sir, data scientists. That these days, people are getting job in data scientists and they are getting good amount of salary in that. Can you suggest something about that, sir? That how much programming or coding we need to learn to get a job as a data scientist?
See, the basic problem solving skills, the basic data structures and algorithms you need to know if you want to become SD in any type of role, whether you want to become data scientist or you want to become a normal SD. You need to have basic problem solving skills for sure, which is very much required for any domain. For data scientists, you might additionally require, as ma'am are teaching you, the analytics algorithms and all these, and math analytical part, right? So that is also required for data scientists. Having said that, I'll just say that as of now, if you see the Indian market, in the Indian market, most of the jobs are more of SDs these days than data science. The backend developers, the front end developers, the app developers, these jobs are more currently, but this scenario is going to change in the coming 5 6 years. There are going to be more requirement of data scientists in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from anyone? So, because I personally feel that this also have a question that these all students here are not from a programming background, and when you look at these packages with like huge amount of packages what these data scientists and all these providing, so this this alluring is always there, and we keep looking for that, and we also keep saying like in my classes and when I teach that you are studying Python this that and definitely once you crack something good in programming you can get a job out there and the jobs are still there, but they also sometimes are confused because the path is not clear. Sometimes they lack the basic programming language and the information in fact. So what you would just suggest them that Python they should go ahead being a PGDM students for masters for MBA, and they would I think nowadays because this Power BI and we have the Tableau for the reporting purposes for them also that can enhance their structures by Python, so that can also work, right, sir?
Right, Shilpi ma'am. Actually, the analyst and data science jobs are very common, getting very common now. Every company they want to see कि अगर कंपनी में सेल हो रहे हैं तो कौन से सोर्सेस से हो रहे हैं, कस्टमर का पाथ क्या है, कि and for all this analysis they need to have analysts, and these analysts need to know these things, right? That's the only way they can come up with these graphs and all those things, right? So all these things are very much required. Even if you are a management guy, not a data scientist, you would require to have knowledge of the things that ma'am you're teaching currently to these students. Uh, Almost every company is doing this analysis, right? They are doing the analysis using Tableau and R to figure out how things are running in the company, what are the sources from which we are getting the traffic, what are and how this traffic is flowing into converting into a sale, how is our different marketing strategies working. So all these things are very much happening in the company and in every company, and they all require analysts and data scientists to get those reports.
Thank you, sir. So I think if you have any last question, we can take it up. Else we'll just close the session in a minute then. So I think, sir, doubts are cleared by
All
all
right,
the
ma'am.
students. All right. So thank you so much, sir, for here, for motivating our students and for making them understand that these programming languages are so important nowadays to grow in the market, to grow in the industry. So here with this, we come close to end of the session. Jim's really appreciate our lecture, our guest lecture for today, for taking out your time from the busy schedule, and I would like to all thank all my students for being here and listening what Sir has suggested and the outlook towards the programming industry. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being with us here today. We would like to associate with you in the coming forward time with many more such webinars, lectures, and seminars.
Sure,
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you,
all.
sir.